بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لمن قدر خيرا وخبالا والشكر لمن صبر حسنا وجمالا. Our beloved Minister, Dr. Aisha Kari, and fellow teachers and educators, para baca Hindunuka and a very good morning to you all. And once again, I would like to welcome you to the 6th International Teachers Conference. And today we are here for the first session of the day. And today the topic is on reskilling. As we all know, skill development is a nationwide need for us. And along with the implementation of the Education Act, we have a broader focus on developing skills in our schools as well. So today's session is given by, it's a keynote speech by Dr. Kenan Berut, and the topic is towards the revolution of reskilling, trends that will shape the future workplace. So before handing over the session to him, I would like to give a brief introduction about Dr. Kenan. Dr. Kenan Berut has worked in the education sector for over 20 years, and he is the Director of Strategy for Cambridge Partnership for Education, CPE, which is a part of the University of Cambridge. Prior to CPE, Dr. Berut held the Director Release in Africa role for Cambridge English and International Education Divisions. Dr. Berut has played a key role in setting up educational strategies in several countries. He holds a doctorate degree in education and has extensive leadership experiences in major international education organizations. He has led high-level educational projects and partnerships, and having operated across 70 countries, he is passionate about reaching the widest possible range of educators and learners to help them with the best teaching and learning opportunities. So, Dr. Berut, welcome to our beautiful and peaceful country, and welcome to the beautiful gathering.
Thank you so much. Good morning. Pajanaro Hanuhe. Is it Pajanaro Hanuhe? For good morning. Oh, they told me wrong there. What's the correct version? What? Where are you, Hania? Hanuhe. Thank you. It's because of the hotel people, not teachers. Honorable Minister and the Minister of State for Education, Deputy Ministers, and distinguished educators and teachers. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It's really great to be here. I mean, yes, I have been to 70 countries, 70, excluding Maldives, but I can now tell 71, and I'm really very happy to be here. And what makes me that happy is I have been operated and visited all these countries for one purpose, because of my passion for education. And I have been very happy here for the last 2 days, because all the discussions here, all the conversations here, focusing on pure education, teacher development, learning outcomes, and they are very similar to discussions we have been making in different platforms, like Education World Forum and Transformational Education Summit that you kindly referred to yesterday. And I'll give you some examples today about them. I work for the Cambridge organization, and I'm here with my 2 colleagues. And one of them is Roshan Thomas. I think he has been here serving for the Maldives education system for over 10 years. And Priyanka Mukherjee is also here, who has been moderating some of the sessions. Before I start, can you please remind me the 4 C's you have been referring yesterday? 4 C's in education. Communication, collaboration, critical thinking, creativity. But the first day you also mentioned that it is 6 now, not 4.
Yeah.
So what are these additional 2? Character, citizenship. Okay. I mean, actually, in the times of COVID, we have added one more to that. And I don't know if you heard about this, but it becomes a trend topic for future skills. Somebody is calling it as complex decision making. Sometimes it is referred to change management or crisis management. Because it is one of the most popular issues which COVID has learned us, has taught us actually. And we will see more of this. It's another way of describing these 6 C's, which is not completely different, but how we describe it is there are 3 foundation ones: emotional development, digital literacy, and discipline knowledge. I would like to highlight this. These are foundation skills now. And what I mean by foundation skills is these should be integrated within all these other 6 skills. So digital literacy is not an option anymore. And I'll show you a picture of a celebrity. I'm sure you know him. And I'll kindly ask you to guess who he is. A childhood photo of a celebrity. You all use Instagram and all these channels, I believe, so you are very familiar with celebrities. Look at the eyes, look at the look, and I don't know, fortunately or unfortunately. Yeah, it's me. Of course, not a celebrity, just joking. Me and my father. I shouldn't say the year, I believe, but around 40 years ago, let's say. So it was my childhood in Germany, very happy childhood. And actually, it was Dortmund. I don't know if you have ever been to Germany or Dortmund.
Yeah, yesterday I was.
Okay, great. So, Dortmund is known as Borussia Dortmund, of course, the football team. And I have an interesting awareness when it was 1990. Are there any football fans here? Oh. Okay, so the question, 1990 World Cup, which country it happened? Italy. And do you remember the final game? Oh my God, who was that? And who remember? Oh, you are too young to remember the final game. So, do you remember the final game of that World Cup? It was between Argentina and Germany. And of course, in Germany, in Deutschland, we always say that we describe football as like this. Football is a game played by 22 players who are running against the ball for 90 minutes. And in the end, always Germany wins. It is a description they thought in Germany. But I mean, in that final game actually, I learned something new. Because I was chanting in German, in Deutsch, that time, about the victory of Germany. It was minute like 84, and Andreas Bremer scored the penalty kick, the goal, and we were extremely happy. However, again, my awareness began thanks to my mom, thanks to her slippers. I don't know if you have the same in Maldivian culture, but in 1780s, it was quite popular by my mom actually, throwing the slippers on my head, and because she reminded me that I'm Turkish, not German. So I shouldn't be chanting in Dutch language to celebrate something. Again, it was a good awareness for me, thanks to the hardness of the slippers. And I have felt it a few times more in my life. And still, I mean, when I visit her, I mean, she moved to Turkey, when I visit her in Turkey, when she wants to say something, she generally shows the slippers to remind me about these incidents. So I located all these countries, 70 countries, mainly again for education, and use different languages. And it taught me one skill, which is fundamental now. And it is one of the skills we have been talking about. Which skill it is related to? Sorry?
From here.
Yeah, from here. Or from any future skills we are talking about. Or from the key competencies. Sorry?
Communication.
Communication, you mean between mom and me or the way of communication? Actually, it's a skill that we have been using more and more in the recent years, which is the global citizenship. And it is really very important for the place I live most of the time, in the current years, in the recent years, in Dubai. Do you know the ratio of the local people in Dubai, living in Dubai? What can be the ratio?
7%.
It's not that bad. Yes, somebody told 16, I believe. It is 12%. So 12% of the population living in Dubai are Emiratis. All other people are foreigners or global citizens, let me say. And I have kids going to school in Dubai. I mean, my 8-year-old now can speak 4 languages thanks to these global citizenship skills. Because the main language, the lingua franca, is English. And thanks to the atmosphere, they learn Arabic. The foreign language is French. And again, thanks to the slippers, they learn Turkish as well, because they spend 2 months with my mom in the summers. So her slippers also have the global citizenship. So what happened after that slippers and me learning that there's something wrong in me? They sent me to boarding school in Turkey to make sure that nothing is going wrong with me. By the way, there was another thing which is about, again, the background of my parents. They are conservative people, very sensitive about their values, and we have always been watching movies that people going to Europe and changing, and so I still remember these ones. And again, as maybe I wasn't that obedient child, I was ended up in boarding school.
But you look very innocent.
Yeah, I look very innocent. I look very innocent. So in boarding school years, again, the good thing for me was the Soviet Union was collapsed these years. And I had the opportunity to learn a little bit Russian, thanks to my friends coming from Central Asia. And it was that experience which was interesting for me. And also it helps me to develop social responsibilities because of the situation of these colleagues. And then, again, because of my passion in education, even teenage years, I decided to become a teacher, which I'm very much proud of. And still, whenever people ask me my profession, rather than making these complex descriptions of director of strategy or something, I always say the term which I'm proud of, I'm a teacher. And I will always be proud of being a teacher. So obviously, I have been spending all my money for traveling abroad when I earn the money from teaching. And I started to make presentations. Do you know which country is it, by the way? Yeah, but Colosseum is bigger than this. So not Italy.
Greece.
Greece, yeah. Okay. Is it Parthenon, right? Yeah, the Parthenon, the Greece. So I went to Greece a few times because the education system was really very advanced in those years. And I made presentations. It was like 20 years ago. And This year was very interesting for me because I made a presentation on digital literacy using digital tools in the classroom. And my presentation was full of how to use smartboard, how to use digital learning platforms, and how to use video in the classroom. And it was a team-solo organization, teaching English as a second language. And that organization was very interesting for me, again, something which I cannot forget. Almost similar to Monk Sleepers, because they were very transparent about the feedback. And there were like 40 presenters in that international organization. And I was the worst presenter. So it was also announced. But again, it was very interesting for me. I checked why I was the worst presenter. Because everybody was talking about learning outcomes. And I was the only one talking about technology tools. And then I got my master's and doctorate degrees, mainly on instructional design, and started to be a part of the committees for master's and PhD dissertations. And I have come across lots of students doing research on smartboard, the benefits of smartboard, the benefits of VHS videos, again, in the old times. And what I learned there is these are technology tools, not learning tools. Or these are tools that can be used in learning to increase the learning outcome. But as educators, our focus should be learning outcomes. It can be through videos, smartboards, or new apps, different applications. So what it is related to, do you think? With skill, digital literacy, and hopefully learning to learn if I learn to present better. And this one, COVID period. It's a very interesting award, by the way. I don't know if you have heard about this award or not. Dedicated Teachers Awards. It's a very key award, really, and I think 2 or 3 years ago, an Indian teacher in Sharjah won the award. And, I mean, she has a very interesting life story. Please check. I mean, all lives spent on charity work, social responsibilities, and teaching in underdeveloped areas. So she has an amazing story. And the good thing about this award is your students actually nominate you to become the world's dedicated teacher in that year. So I highly recommend the ministry colleagues and all the school principals to check this award and encourage the educators and students to participate in this one. So COVID talked a few things, and the Minister of State for Education mentioned about the leadership skills, if you remember, yesterday. And the leadership is really about complex decision making, crisis management, change management. And again, we have failed many times. I have failed many times in the COVID years while making the decision. And one way failure is because of the Cambridge culture. Again, I'll be very critical to my own organization because sometimes we are too much perfectionist. And even the crisis times, it's crisis time. I mean, why are you looking for the ideal resource or ideal content? Sometimes it is more convenient to be quicker than to be more ideal. And again, this is something which we had never thought before the COVID. But COVID taught us these skills. And we had to learn creative ways of reaching the educators and students, learners. In Italy, for example, we used to work only with the bookstores in Italy. We worked strictly against Amazon in those days because some policy issues of Amazon which some tech companies have as well, global companies have, about the use of data or about the taxation regulations. However, in Italy, all the bookstores were closed during the first months. So in order to reach the teachers and students, the only way was using Amazon, actually. So we had to be creative to find ways to continue the education in those years. So which skill do you think related to this? Again, it might be here or future skills.
Sorry.
Which skill is related to this learning during the COVID times? I think yes, creativity, social responsibility as well. And for the future skills, I would say crisis management, change management, complex decision making. Because, sorry. Emotional development, definitely. Emotional development. And the last picture, very recent one. So I don't have the copyright to use this one. I mean, it shows actually 3 educators talking about the education policies in a very positive manner. And it was yesterday, the picture is taken by Ms. Bianca, so credit goes to her. And again, what we are talking about is really partnership. But what we are doing here is also networking, right? I mean, at the end of the day, I'm new in this country. I'm an education professional. I need to know educators. And I have been talking with you all the time during yesterday and today. And networking skills is one of the fundamental skills in the work atmosphere now. Do we have any course teaching networking skills? Because in all job descriptions or job advertisements, we are now putting networking skills as a global company. So it is not in the curriculum, I believe. Or even it is in the curriculum, the big question is, do we know, or as teachers, do we have the required skills or competencies to teach networking skills? Or one more question. We are always talking about professional learning and development and how to upskill or reskill the teachers' competencies. But maybe it's time to discuss what we have been teaching in the faculties of education. I mean, in the faculties of education, in the teacher development programs, how these skills are integrated, or if they are integrated or not. So I think these are the main questions we should be asking, because I taught in the faculties of education as well, and most of the things I was teaching were quite superficial, honestly speaking. And I was talking about the research or ideal scenarios in different parts of the world, which was not related to the country I was teaching, or which was not related to the teaching atmosphere in the schools. Most of my friends are working with the teachers to develop teachers in the faculties of education. And as they are my friends, you can, guess the age, not 30s, unfortunately. And they have been there for decades, knowing nothing about what's happening in the schools. So I think it's time to discuss about these topics as well. So in the last, I think we have 20 more minutes. Yeah. And in the last 20 minutes, I would like to mention 3 pillars. One is UNESCO, the second one is Maldives context, and the third one is Cambridge context. I changed this slide last night after your reference to the Transformation Education Summit in New York. It was a summit in September in New York, and we met different ministers, I think from almost 100 countries. And there were three topics actually I picked up from these discussions. What's interesting to me is these three topics are absolutely the same as the topics we have been discussing in the last 2 days here. So it's amazing to see how up to date we are in Maldives, considering what has been taught in different parts of the world. Do you know that flag? Which country is it? Sorry? Similar. Yeah, Burkina Faso is 2 words, and it is 2 words as well. In Africa, in West Africa, starting with S. Two words.
Somalia,
Two words, not one.
Sierra Leone.
Yeah. Sierra Leone. Thanks to the Honorable Minister. And we met the minister in Sierra Leone. And what was interesting is we saw their policy documents. And all the policy documents actually were based on teachers. And I really love this statement in their policy document. Designing systems or reskilling starts with practice of teaching. And we discussed the same things. Professional learning and development, budgets for this, and which topics can we integrate working with the higher education institutions. The second one is United Nations Deputy Secretary General, Amina Mohammed. And she highlighted the importance of context. Context matters, and so does national ownership and priorities. So again, what I learned about Maldives in the last 2 days is I have worked with the governments. I have been working with the governments in many countries, currently over 30 countries. Most of the government policies are, or state education policies are, based on individuals, ministers, or just these governments, 5-year plans maximum. But in Maldives, there are long-term strategies, long-term policies, which is really fantastic to see. And the great thing is, when you have these policies, long-term, beyond the politics, the nation owns these policies. That's why we speak the same language now, while talking about the issues in education. The last one is very interesting. Again, an education profile whom I really follow closely, and we have been involved in different discussions. Yasmin Sharif, Education Cannot Wait. This is an organization founded in 2016, a recent organization, and she has been doing lots of research on learning loss. And she always highlights education is the foundation of all sustainable development goals. So as a country, we can have sustainable development goals, but whatever they are, they should be based on education, and they should be linked to education. That's why in the government level, it's really important to see the budget allocated to education, and also, again, in this budget, the first point is very important. How much we are spending on upskilling, reskilling our teachers who are the core of the education process. And this is a statement from UNESCO. I mean, how we read this is really changing attitudes with skills and focusing on positive skills to address global challenges. Because, as you remember, I started with global citizenship and the global skills to become a global citizen. I need your help in this part because it's about Maldives. And I don't know if this is true or not. I mean, I have been reading this a lot. And I have been thinking that the situation is really negative after reading these things. But when I come here, seeing the advanced level of discussions in education, I'm suspicious about if it is real or not. Because in most of the papers, economic papers, it was written that tourism is the main resource in Maldives, and because of the COVID-19, it affected the whole economy and whole society. Is it this severe here or? Sorry. But I mean, if this is severe, how do you continue these education discussions and education policies without an interruption?
Actually, we have a very good team with us, a very competent, a very creative team, and it was their work that actually made this happen. And I'm actually proud to say that our learning wasn't that much. It wasn't disrupted actually. We were able to start the system in another mode in just a week's time. And during the lockdown also, we were able to provide all the lessons through teleclasses and through internet-based platforms.
That's great, thank you.
And I should mention that despite the great team that we have, our plus point is that our alumni, students from our school, past students, they have supported us, especially in building our learning platform. So, Fila Portal was developed by some of our university past students for free of charge. So it was like a combined support from the whole society.
Great. Thank you. Thank you.
And also the wonderful teachers. Yeah, wonderful teachers in the school and the parents. Yeah, parents and teachers teach together because parents are at home. Yeah, helping the students, engaging them, and teachers. And especially the teleclass teachers use their mobile phones and sometimes hanging the phone, and they do production, editing and everything at home during the lockdown because there were days completely lockdown. Nobody was allowed to go to the recording. So
Why it's also important to mention that, I mean, we should continue with you. I mean, I have a few other things I would need your help. And I think you can hear me, right? Oh, that's great. That's great. Thank you. I think you also mentioned team management is a skill. Being a team player is a skill. So these are also the global skills for the future workplace. And these are the skills, again, not only for the future, even for the current recruitment procedures we are seeking. So two things which were interesting to me. One of them is the master plan and seeing how the master plan is up to date with the global challenges we are facing. And this was really interesting. I mean, Iskandar School, which school it is? Is there anyone from Iskandar School? Okay. I mean, it was something interesting. Last week, we saw this news issue, and there's a stand here about this. I know that we might say it's STEAM or STEAM, hopefully in the future. But again, more than the terminology, I believe, as you mentioned kindly yesterday, if we integrate art and religious studies, which I already saw in the key competencies, it is still really to have this. But anyone joined this event or saw this event? So if you can possibly tell about you maybe this time. Okay.
Yeah, about 180 STEM projects we have seen.
186.
Yeah, 2,500 students participated. And Vice President, Minister, and our team, we visited most of the places and very creative projects we have seen. That is again a collaborative work of parents, teachers, students, everyone together. Really, really wonderful.
Great event actually, because I mean, what was interesting is in my organization, I mean, we don't have 2,500 people in my team, but we have like 70 people in our Cambridge Partnership for Education team. And at the same time, in our company, we made the same event, an innovation competition. So, same event in Cambridge organization, which has a history of 500 years, over 500 years. For our employees, actually was done in Iskandar School with the teachers and students there. And it was all about innovation, how to manage innovation, how to become innovation champions. And this is another skill, I believe, for the future that we should be focusing more and more. I don't know currently innovation is taught in the key competencies in Maldives or not.
It is. One of the key competencies
Okay. I think this is a key skill which will be required, again, in the current work environment and even more in the future work environment.
Doctor, we have like 5 minutes.
5 minutes, which means I need to stop so that we can have questions. So this is just a summary how we see in Cambridge these competencies. Again, which is very similar to the Maldives context, I believe. We believe that there are 3 foundation layers: emotional development, digital literacy, discipline knowledge. Discipline knowledge is, of course, the knowledge about the subject areas. And the 6 core skills. And what we are trying to do is, again, very similar to Maldives context. We are trying to make sure that in our consultancy services, professional learning and development services, resources, or assessment framework, we are trying to make sure that all these skills are integrated. My last note is, there was a question about future of assessment. And again, I will add one more thing. What I see about the future of assessment, again, coming from a company which has been doing global assessment frameworks and tools for the last almost 200 years. Assessing and evaluating these skills more and more, rather than the discipline knowledge. More assessment, more evaluation over these skills. So I think that we still have 3 minutes for any questions. 10 minutes, that's great. Any questions?
Yeah. Thank you for the wonderful session, very informative, very interesting. My question is, you said currently 70 people are working with you, right?
In Cambridge
Government
partnership,
partnership. Yeah, 70. And you have visited 70 countries and now 71. My question is whether 71 people will be working with you from next year onwards.
No, it will be an honor actually, and what we are doing now more and more is, again, is a kind of these skills. What we also learn is having more regional and local resources to collaborate and partner with the countries, with the educators, with the teachers. This is one of the reasons, Mr. Roshan, Ms. Priyanka, spending most of their time in places like Mali to make sure that we can collaborate and partner more. But definitely it's a vision again with the new competencies to have more people globally rather than based in the UK. Any other question?
Any question from teachers?
I have a question.
Okay.
So
Sorry.
I'm very loud.
Oh, this is great. Hopefully only in the school, or hopefully you are allowed only in the school or everywhere.
So when you talk about the 4 C's, later on I'll be talking about that.
Sure.
The citizenship, culture, character, and compassion. Character and compassion. Can we say those are values?
Yes,
Would
yes,
you say that those are values?
yes. So you mean that there are more values than skills? What I would say is, again, I mean, you can also think that most of these skills are becoming values over years and years. Again, sometimes it starts with talent as well, becomes skills, then become into values. But what we mean by character here is really, actually, I'll show you in the Cambridge framework. It is really more into the learning to learn. So it is character is a value, but is a skill, really taking control of own learning, being autonomous, having the responsibility of what we are doing. Because it's also very similar to the workplace as well. I have not lots, a few colleagues or employees in my organization, always asking for training, always asking our support for this. Yes, as policymakers, as leaders, we need to provide the opportunities, but we cannot get people to improve themselves like as an external force. It should be really taking people to take the ownership of their learning. But again, I believe it's a skill, but is a value or not? It's a character is a value, but autonomous learning is a skill for me.
I just want to add to this.
Sorry?
This goes to the previous question.
Yeah.
Uh,
Basically,
a lot
one
of what we discussed is about education conversation and now what this is from outside. The moment when it actually came, the character and the value of saying that it is one idea, one fish on, and be able to vaccinate people very fast is a collective work done by the people. It's just not the education, it is real value.
Definitely.
That's just really very well embedded. That's maybe what I really want to add to the value.
Definitely. Definitely.
Can I? Sure. I was just wondering where is sustainable development as a competency?
So sustainable development, I believe, can be put into social responsibilities because it's a part of being a global citizen, it's a part of the development of the global values, which will be incorporated in the national values. But again, it's a very interesting keyword which is used in the current workplace, and I'm sure that which we will be talking more and more in the future workplace. Because at the end of the day, we can have all these values, all these skills, unless we have a sustainability in the development as an individual, as a nation, as global organizations, we cannot achieve it.
Good evening. Yeah, my question is about the complexity part.
Sorry, I
On this side,
you.
yeah.
Oh yeah, great.
And as it is, I have done some reading and found out that it's not only complexity but chaos and complexity that need to be attended, especially after COVID-19
Yes.
be attacked by it, and then children should be able to go to the situation, understand the realism, the reality of the situation. So chaos and complexity should be. Do you think that it's a better way of saying it? I read some of it, and the other thing is just now what the professor said about sustainability, which is a part of incorporated into all the angles. But at the same time, since we are 99% ocean molded and just 1% land, the issue of climate change is a huge issue even within the educational system. So what do you say about it, the incorporation of that, the whole process within the whole concept, putting it together in a big context?
I mean, I think I'll refer to Amina Mohammed from United Nations about what you refer to 99% as the sea, because I also read before the biggest issue in Maldives, and everybody's talking about climate change and global warming and the impact on this. And again, we have the global framework, but what's more important is the context. So how we should define the global framework is based on the contextual needs and requirements. It's very important But what you refer to, the chaos management, is also very interesting because, again, I remember Professor's keynote on the first day. He referred to the mental health, well-being, which again becomes more and more important after the COVID period. In the school environment, but also in the workplace. You cannot imagine the ongoing effects of, again, it might be COVID or it might be some other factors we have listed, in the workplace these years, which have been affecting all our global policies. I mean, you cannot imagine the ratio of the employees having sick leave in the recent years and how it is increased and how we are spending most of our time on well-being and mental health of our people. So I believe it's a very important issue, and I also believe that it is very valid in the education context and school context too.
Let me add something regarding that question. As we have our environmental is vulnerable, we are trying to make our schools as green schools. In Divri we call FEHI, mothers are 7 schools we are piloting. In this framework we have 4 pillars. One is ocean, the other one is land, then waste management and innovation. And climate change is the heart of this concept. I just going to share. We are working on that. Now it's been 2 years, we are doing that. We are working 7 schools. Thank you.
I mean, I need to add one more thing. If you can follow, it will be really very beneficial. In Cambridge, for example, last year, we opened a separate unit, separate department, just for climate change and climate education, actually. So there's a very strong leader who has, I think, over 40 years education experience, international education experience, leading this department. And we are really looking forward to partnering with governments, ministries on this topic a lot. And I mean, again, I will share the links and information about this. It is a very interesting topic for us, and there have been lots of research on this. We have joined the COP27 organization in Egypt and other folks, and in Qatar especially, I mean, last month again, there was another summit about this. I think this is something we should talk more and more. Sorry.
Thank you. I think this will be the last question.
Okay.
Thank you.
Last
So
but not
I was
least.
thinking of, like, I saw that you have included in your slides our key competencies, which is something that we all are very proud about. But of course, when we talk about key competencies, teachers, I'm sure, take a lot of ownership of the key competencies. But then whenever we conduct trainings for teachers, I mean, just be anybody providing training for teachers on key competencies, they say, yeah, this is important, and we try to integrate key competencies as much as we want. But then there is also the concern, especially with the secondary teachers, that okay, key competencies are important, we understand, we know, we believe, but then we do not have time for integrating or teaching key competencies in the secondary grades, because we have to focus a lot on the examinations. So you being somebody from Cambridge University, what are your thoughts about it? Is there that much of a mismatch between the key competencies and the examinations that you provide for our students? Thank you.
Thank you. I mean, it's a wonderful question because, again, I'm smiling because I think last week, at least from 3 countries or 3 ministries, we have heard similar feedback, or 3 groups of teachers in different countries. Even before key competencies, if you remember, we have always been complaining about the curriculum load we have, the discipline, knowledge load we have. And it's why we should really work more and more. And again, as a policy strategist as Brown, what I always focus on is, as policymakers, we really need to make sure that we allocate sufficient time for the teachers to work on the development of these key competencies, and maybe in the first years, we should become even more prescriptive about how to integrate these in the lesson plans or in the specific subject areas. Because what I have been observing is, again, not about this context, and I would say that maybe 90% of the countries is a big issue. And very developed countries, in terms of their PISA scores or TIMSS scores, we have been facing these issues everywhere. Because of the discipline knowledge, because of the subject matter load, they don't have time to integrate skills or key competencies in their teaching atmosphere. And again, what I'm suggesting is, as these are quite new, maybe as policymakers, we need to be even more prescriptive to make sure that they are integrated in the resources, professional learning and development agenda, and are all services to teachers, including assessment. Because sometimes, again, I agree with you, it's not that fair to expect teachers to focus on discipline, subject matter, and also prepare all these resources and all these teaching process, again, incorporating these competencies. There should definitely be more guidance and more framework, especially in these first years. Because at the end of the day, it goes beyond the current process. We are not educated in our undergraduate studies to incorporate these competencies in the subject matter. So it is all new for us. And as it is new, it is much better to be prescriptive, I believe, and having as many resources as possible, including the time. I think we should stop, or...
Thank you very much, Dr. Kena. I think it's a wonderful presentation, and we got some very important two messages. One is that skill development is taking place throughout the life, and you have shown very nice pictures of like 4 decades of your life, and how it is important to provide the environment for the child to develop with all these skills from wherever the child is living. And for the teachers, we need to bring a system change from the teaching practices. So I believe that is why we are holding these conferences, the teachers' conference, and then we are sharing our thoughts, practices, experiences, and we are doing the research and sharing. So if we say like proudly, from mother tongue, giving there is so masakit kurni hama dari tarbiyat kurungaya taulim fembarangal taulim for kodinga arban meng amilya mihara bure hama taraki rege amna mihara bure kura masakit tar thafat ko badal ko kodinda mihara bure rangal fembar ko taulim di adi mihara skilda mi hundar tak kodinga gashden noma masakit kurma ehma mi refolong mi kahala conference ke bayar wadana fa mi skota ka wadana mi adi munike no anga burura ga ham wara diwan mudakis warake session ta anga no fenke basi mi gabur purani ha mi gota mi ki dana kala survey ta research ta hatwan ka adi ege benu ko ke itura budinge kewa dina ko ke budinge kewa mat ka fen kewa dina kanta ta taraki puraban ade ani hinana tawli mulle tamanta ku zamanai makirne tandari buddhi ga magni kibabin. Have a very good day. Assalamu alaikum.